Survival. Something that's not taught in adolescence. I always wonder why. It's important to know the basics before all hell breaks loose one day. It could just be as simple as being lost in the woods to getting injured on the hike. Events can happen. Nothing goes as planned. If we're not prepared, we could be in some serious trouble. Obtaining a little bit of knowledge goes a long way and could give us that extra mile. For ourselves and for others. I haven't been in a survival situation, but I like to be ready for one if I ever do step on quicksand. We all should learn a little bit when it comes to a real survival situation. I've been watching Les Stroud for the past years and picked up a few things, which is never panic and have a positive attitude about it. Your mental state is the only thing that's going to carry you out through a tough situation. Always find shelter during the day before night comes, even if it means building your own. You have a lot of energy from the beginning, so don't waste it on something that doesn't matter. It's important to conserve your stamina on what needs to be done in order to last longer. Collecting water from vegetation or finding clean water is a must. You don't want to be drinking water full of parasites and viruses. There are many things we all can write down, but if we're not prepared for it, the world can get the best of us. I remember a special episode with Les Stroud, where he drove all the way up to Norway to purposely get stuck in a pile of snow just to survive for a week. The brutal cold weather almost got the best of him, as his nut shrank smaller than a molecule. There's one thing he did have in his survival kit: beer. Who would ever thought beer would be a savior? A beer or two goes a long way, especially in the cold. As he states, some nutrients is better than nothing. And I'm not talking about getting slammed with a 12-pack in a dark forest surrounded by wolves. I'm talking about having a beer or two on deck to get you through a harsh moment. Beer does contain water, carbs, calcium, potassium, and protein, which is good for the moment. If you ask me, I would rather have a can of beer over a bottle of water. But I wouldn't skull a 40. I would probably fall and break a leg before you could find a way out of a ditch. I'm not an expert at things, but common sense does apply. I wouldn't drink and move around like a fool. I believe the best case scenario would be to sit, drink, and absorb, not to move around and bust your head on a rock. Avoiding injuries at all costs is key when it comes to survival. I always wondered, if I were to get in trouble, what kind of beer would be suitable? I think any. Or maybe IPAs. They pack a good vibe to make you grow tits. The Voodoo Ranger sits at 7% in ABV, 16 fluid ounces with 249 calories, 3.5 grams of protein along with some calcium. This beer will surely give you a nice boost. In a serious situation, protein bars would make sense versus beer. If you only got beer, it's better than nothing. One of these can pack a punch and keep me warm like a one-night stand. At a price tag of $3.25 Canadian, the juicy vibes pour out a golden, bright mango with a decent head, when chilled. Average retention, and the aroma is smothered with fruits, a bit citrusy and piney. Good smell, just like some fresh panties that came out the dryer. It holds a medium mouthfeel, accompanied with grapefruit, pine, mango, and malt. It's straightforward with the flavors and doesn't dick around like a sarcastic friend. The back end fills nicely with a touch of malty, slightly bitterness. After a whole cup, it leaves a decent lace. Drinking this warm is just as good as sipping it chilled. It's a bit above the recommended temperature, but it doesn't matter. It's just too easy to drink. Very enjoyable. If you're an IPA person, you know this is a top-notch IPA. I could do a 6-pack to the stomach with ease. I give this beer a 4.3 out of 5. It's a very good one. In the end, don't put yourself in a situation you don't want to be in. Things can always happen out there in the wilderness. Most of us aren't built in a way to withstand an unexpected event, since we're so used to being in our homes with everything we need. If you plan on going to an unknown terrain, prep well, and do some research before heading out. You don't want to regret anything, so be safe out there. I want to give a special shout out to all the channel members and patrons. Thanks a bunch for the massive amount of support. You guys make this channel go on different levels and lengths. And thank you to the subscribers as well too. Can't do it without you guys. Sometimes I wonder where would I be if I never made content. I wouldn't know. Probably drunk in a ditch. Thank you guys and have a wonderful day and be safe out there.